Our tale kicks off with the demise of poor All F right in front of D's peepers. D was like, what the heckity heck is going on here? Then along comes Sakurama, dropping truth bombs on D, claiming this whole ordeal ain't your average divine artifact gig. Flashback 12 years ago, when the Dragon Guardians were like, yo, shadow dudes, listen up, cause guess what? Your big bosses are pushing up daisies, so they're like, take your pick, keep duking it out till you drop, or hop on board with us Guardians, as both humans and monsters, and let's give this coexistence thing a whirl. D, understandably peeved about F's demise, storms off without giving Sakurama the time of day. Sakurama's all, hold your horses, buddy. He asks if D knew that monster, offering condolences for the loss. D's like, what's the scoop? So Sakurama spills the beans, saying monsters stood as much chance as a snowball in heck of winning. He pleads with D to quit the evil scheming. D's like, how'd you find out? Turns out, Sakurama eavesdropped on D's convo with Suzukiri. Sakurama implores D to quit it. Even if they keep on fighting, justice will always prevail. He says, D's miffed cause Sakurama thinks it's all hunky-dory. For the past 12 years, they've been playing second fiddle to humans, and D's sick of it. He's dead set on taking down this wacky organization, cause he's a monster, darn it. And that's not changing. Sakurama's gobsmacked by D's response, then whips out a piece of paper, declaring D's passed the recruitment test. From that day forth, he'd join the Rangers. D's left scratching his head, utterly clueless. Sakurama's all about how the world's flawed, and it's okay to be discontent, but they could fix it from the inside. Fair and square. Together, they'd forge a society where humans and monsters live side by side. He extends his hand to D, who slaps it away, refusing to team up with humans and declaring his hatred for Sakurama. He even throws shade at those watching who haven't subscribed yet, urging them to do so. Sakurama's flabbergasted, while D insists they're enemies and demands Sakurama never speak to him again before vanishing into thin air. Left speechless, Sakurama stares at the sky. Meanwhile, D heads over to Suzukiri, who had faith he'd come knocking. While munching away, she and D chat. He apologizes for being a monster. Suzukiri finds it audacious and promptly lops off his noggin again. But since he's immortal, it grows back, leaving him steaming. She clocks how he's using his shapeshifting to blend in as a human now. D's like, are you dense or what? Suzukiri reckons folks would be shocked to know a monster's roaming the streets. D's slightly spooked by her revelation. Suzukiri asks if he now gets where she's coming from. Then she wonders if he'd like to know how to take down the Rangers. She spills the beans on the divine artifacts, explaining their transformation tools for the Dragon Guardians in their monster-busting quests, also granting divine powers. These artifacts can even off immortal monsters. She says, D wonders if she's planning something with those artifacts. Suzukiri confirms it, claiming the Ranger force may seem mighty, but it's as fragile as a house of cards, especially if you know where to poke it. D asks if she plans to strike while they're snoozing. Suzukiri reveals they leave the magic artifacts unattended during their Sunday showdowns. Cut to D trying to morph into the Red Ranger. Suzukiri notes how he's looking more and more like the real deal. She warns him not to underestimate those fighters. D snaps at her to zip it, as unfamiliar faces demand extra focus. Suzukiri wonders why they don't use their human imitating skills for espionage. D admits they're good at some stuff and rubbish at others. Suzukiri's like, took you long enough, tired out, and asking him to turn into a chair. D's ticked off, claiming she's getting on his last nerve, but boasts he's great at impersonating surface dwellers. Suzukiri sees potential in this special skill, believing it could turn the tide of battle. Next up, we witness D successfully transforming into the Red Ranger, sneaking into the place and whispering to Suzukiri through the earpiece. She confirms the signal's good and instructs him to swipe the divine artifact without blowing his cover. He's ticked off cause she acts like it ain't her business. She chalks it up to female intuition, leaving D to think she always dodges the important questions. He's still puzzled cause she's with the Rangers, aiding a monster. She asks if he's ever watched teen dramas, spouting cliches about unlikely pairs and inevitable winners. D's clueless, so she clarifies she feels sorry for the underdogs cause protagonists always come out on top, and she can't root for them, hence her desire to help D. He's majorly irked by her spiel. As he passes by the Red Rangers, they don't bat an eye. Clueless to his imposter status, Suzukiri checks in, and he confirms spotting the stairs. She tells him to descend and locate where they stashed the divine artifact, warning of a critter watching him. When he arrives, he spots Teita lounging nearby. Teita asks if he's back, and D replies affirmatively, feeling he shouldn't chicken out now. He stares at Teita, fed up with running, contemplating using the divine artifact to transform again. Teita urges him on, but as D passes, Teita notices something off. Just as D's about to open the door, Teita remarks he's impressed by D's willingness to deal with the riffraff every week. D's a bit rattled, but Suzukiri tells him to keep his cool and stick to the plan. In character, D asserts they may be weak, but as monsters, they shouldn't underestimate themselves. Teita muses on the challenges of being the Red Guardian, but shrugs it off. As long as he's got a reason to monster bash, D hopes he stays that way as he opens the door. Suzukiri commends D on a job well done. Now inside the room, he starts searching for where the Red Ranger stashed the divine artifact. Spotting it on display, he finds it suspicious, wondering if it's a decoration or a trap. Despite his doubts, he recalls Suzukiri mentioning the Ranger's vulnerabilities and the Red Ranger's dismissal of the shadows as threats. Angered by the Red Ranger's arrogance, he grabs the artifact, feeling victorious at finally getting his hands on something that's plagued him and his kind for years. Suddenly, Teita fires at his head, detecting a peculiar scent. D's confused about the smell, questioning Teita why. If he were the real Red Ranger, he'd still be alive. Teita berates D's intelligence, claiming the true Red Ranger wouldn't fall for such a surprise attack. Realizing he's busted, D's got no choice but to act. Teita keeps firing at his head, asking what'll happen if he keeps blasting while D regenerates. Unable to speak, D's subjected to Teita's chilling musings on human fear of death and its empowering effect. Teita's like a wild card, completely unhinged, shooting D repeatedly until he decides to grab the divine artifact. D asks if anyone can use it, but Teita's clueless, willing to test it out on D. D pleads for a moment, not wanting to die. Teita's baffled by a monster expressing human-like regret, demanding D's final words. D threatens him, claiming to have dynamite nearby. Teita gets nervous, and seeing fear in the human's eyes is what D lives for. Teita begs him not to, but just as he's about to strike, D rises, landing a blow to Teita's face. Unlike humans, D couldn't play it cool and decided to end the fight against Teita. Later, D was squeezing through the air ducts, and Suzukiri chimed in, saying he wasn't half bad, stronger than he thought, and showering him with praise. She was thrilled to have him for this gig. D, annoyed, told her to cut it out. He thought he'd won but was irked for some reason. He finally reaches the rooftop as planned. Suzukiri offers a reward, but D declines. However, a big ol' snag awaits D unfortunately. The Red Guardian stands right in his path. D says he'll have to chat with Suzukiri later as he's busy at the moment. He asks the Red Guardian what he's doing there and if he shouldn't be dealing with monsters. The Red Guardian responds there's no problem because he's got one right in front of him and tells D to return the divine artifact and vanish. D retorts that he's the one who'll vanish, then lunges at the Red Guardian, who effortlessly dodges his attacks. Frustrated, D tells him to quit showing off. As D tries to kick him, the Red Guardian grabs his leg and hurls him away. But D isn't done yet. The Red Guardian wonders where his arm went, but D reassures him he'll fetch it along with what he's holding. He yanks the water tank along with his hand. D's regeneration power is no joke. The Red Guardian grabs a pipe and hurls the water tank D launched at him. The tank flies off and the pipe smacks D's head. The real issue is his arm, which flew off with the divine artifact. He retrieves his arm and the artifact. Seething at his rival, the Red Guardian is impressed by D's effort, saying it was worth it, but he won't defeat him since there's no audience. Just as an airplane arrives broadcasting that the Red Guardian decides to attack D, despite putting up a decent fight, he continues to belittle him and his people. Then, the other Dragon Guardians show up to attack D, with all the spotlight shifted away from the arena, making things more interesting. Instead of battling, they argue about the show, potential changes, and the week's events. They propose a deal to D if he lets them capture him. They'll ensure his safety, but D isn't having it. The Blue Guardian uses his divine artifact, but before he can defeat D, D declares they'll remember him. Then, the Blue Guardian blows up D like a bomb. After defeating D, they discuss the need to appear cool to avoid looking like failures. However, when the Red Guardian goes to retrieve his divine artifact, he realizes it's not his, it's D's left arm. Suzukiri had taken the divine artifact, thanking D for his dedication, even though he died for that item.